All right, let's just do a quick test. Jamie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All right, good evening and welcome to the January 13th, 2026 Zoning Board of Appeals regular monthly meeting for the Village of Ossining. This is a public hearing that is quasi judicial. We're using a hybrid format for today's meeting, both in person and online via Zoom. Members of the public attending via Zoom may use the raise hand feature at the appropriate time if you'd like to make a comment. Those attending by phone can press *9 to raise your hand. And during the meeting, at any time, comments can be emailed to plan@villageofossiningny.gov. That's the new email, right?
That's correct.
Again, that's plan@villageofossiningny.gov. This meeting will be recorded and the transcript will be available at a later date. So for those in the room, when you come up to speak, just please state your name and address, even if you've signed in. If you are here to speak today and you haven't signed in, right now is a good time to just quietly come up, put your name and address in there. All right, joining us today, we have Maddie Sahach, our, Assistant Village Manager. We have Taryn Ramey, our Assistant Land Use Counsel, although she's technically my Land Use Counsel. Joe Gossinelli from the Village Inspector, and we have Jamie Kane, our Board Secretary. All right, so could we get a roll call of the board?
Sure can. Full house tonight. Brian Granoff.
Present.
Michael Spall.
Present.
Chris Asensio.
Present.
Erica Matias.
Here.
Corey Block. Here. Olga Montes. And Jared Barizik.
All here, amazing. So for today, both Chris and Erica are alternates because we do have a full board today. Hopefully the one passes out.
Yeah, don't do that.
For the minutes, the only people that can vote on the minutes from November who were here were myself, Ryan, Michael, and Chris. So when we do the minutes vote, just those four. So that being said, could I get a motion to approve the minutes from November 18th last year?
Motion to approve the minutes from November.
Amazing.
Second.
All right, we have Mike and then Chris. And could we do a roll call? Oh, actually, no. If there are no objections to accepting the minutes as presented, great. They are approved. Moving on to new business of the board, we have ZBA 24/2023. This is for 142 to 144 South Highland Avenue. Applicant is seeking a second extension for a driveway setback, variance for proposed construction of a Popeyes restaurant. Is there anybody, are you guys online today?
Mr. Davis is on his way over as a panelist. Hopefully. There we go.
Hello,
And
can you hear me?
we can.
Good
Um,
evening.
I just want to save you
I'm
some
sorry.
time, if it's okay, and then if you have any follow-up, we'll go on there, but pretty much we've already approved this application previously. We have approved one extension. He's asking for a second extension. And the only reason they're asking for a second extension is because their application is with the board for permitting or with the building department and their third party for approval, so they have to wait for that to be done. So that's the context. Anything other than that, Mr. Davis?
No, you've said it all.
All right, it's a good thing you attended online tonight. Does anybody have any questions? And for this, we don't have to go through the 5 factors or open a public hearing.
Correct.
Well, could I get a motion based on, I'm making an assumption here, but could I get a motion to approve the second extension for this application?
Motion to approve, Brian.
Second, Corey.
We got Brian and Corey. All right, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Sure can. Brian Granoff.
Aye.
Michael Spall.
Aye.
Olga Montes. Aye. Corey Block. Aye. Jared Barizik.
Aye. All right, Mr. Davis, have a great night.
Okay, thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right, next up on the agenda is ZBA 23/2025. Applicant is seeking an amendment to a previously granted area variance for side yard setback for the proposed legislation of a rear yard deck. Is this online also?
Yes, Mr. Foran is here as a panelist.
And Mr. Foran, I'm gonna do the same thing, but if you have additional context, please feel free.
Sounds good.
We had previously approved this with a caveat that if the as-built was different, they would have to resubmit the zoning board worksheet or documents, which they've done. So
So just for the board's reference, at the, I believe the November meeting, this board approved a 2-foot variance, which corresponds to a 6-foot side yard setback the as-built indicates they need actually a 3-foot variance for a 5-yard side yard setback. And typically how the board has handled this is if it's so inclined, it'll approve an amended variance. It'll be the delta between what is needed and what was previously approved. So this would be a 1-foot variance,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Mhm. And for this would be public hearing
Yes.
and 5 factors. Okay. Before we open the public hearing, does anybody have any questions? Don't feel rushed. We'll have time if you want to look at stuff. Do you mind bringing up the zoning board worksheet while we open the public hearing?
Anyone wants to say?
Oh, yeah, and, oh my God,
Foreign.
can't see the foreign, I can't see his last name. Mr. Foreign, do you have
Yes.
anything, any additional context that you think is important or different from what we said?
It's just that the new survey had some differences between the original survey, which I guess was done when the house was built. And it's just we need an extra variance, an extra foot added to the variance request in the back deck.
But nothing's physically changed.
No, it hasn't.
Remember, this was part of a legalization that they had built this about, I think, in 2012.
Correct.
So it's been up for a number of years, about 14 years now.
Thanks, Joe. Any questions? All right, can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion to open, Olga.
Seconded Brian.
We got Olga, then Brian, without any objections. Public hearing is now open. Is there anybody other than Mr. Foran to speak on this application? Online, actually, there's no one left online. Great, I'm seeing none, so could I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close, Corey.
Seconded Brian.
Corey, then Brian, if there's no objections to closing the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. All right, so if there's questions, maybe they'll come up in our 5 factors. And so we're only doing the 5 factors based on the additional requested, not what we've already granted.
You can take it into consideration because it is one.
Part of the whole.
Yes. So in determining whether or not to grant a variance, the zoning board must balance the benefit to the applicant if the variance is granted against any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the community or neighborhood. In doing so, you must consider 5 factors. The first of which is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting the variance.
I'm gonna say going with what we last voted on, even though it's an addition of 1 foot, I don't think it significantly impacts in a negative way the last decision.
Yeah, because it's existing as well. It has been for quite a while.
Where the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance.
No, it's already done.
Well, you can always have people riff it up, but that might not be feasible. We have done that before.
And hasn't the applicant shown good faith too? Did he say he had done another survey
Yes, and
of
we,
property?
and we
Which is not
discussed,
inexpensive to do a
Yes.
survey of a property. Yeah.
and we discussed it at the last meeting, knowing that it might be the case, so he came right back to us.
Shows the responsiveness, I think.
Whether the requested area variance is substantial.
No.
Maybe in a totality, numerically.
No, it's not even 50%. It's like 40%. I guess that's significant numerically, but impact, no.
Would the proposed variance would have an adverse factor impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
I'm gonna go ahead and say no. I don't think I was part of the original meeting on this, but just based on what I can see on the plans and stuff. I think we didn't find any detriment in the first round. Nothing's really changed with an additional foot.
And then finally, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which is relevant to the board's decision, but not necessarily dispositive.
Mr. Foran, I will
Yeah.
actually, cover, did you own the property before this work was done or after?
Yeah, we owned it before.
Okay,
We bought the house in 2001.
so I would say that it is self-created, but it's not determinative. Great, it seems like we're gearing towards, leaning towards an approval, so if I could get a motion to approve ZBA 2025.
Motion to approve, Olga.
Seconded Mike.
Olga, then Mike. All right, let's do a roll call vote.
Okay, Brian Grano,
Aye.
Michael Small,
Aye.
Wilda Montez.
Aye.
Corey Bluff. Aye. And Chair Everett.
Aye. All right, Mr. Coran, have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who said government can't be efficient?
Well, we-
Look what you-
Yes, I know. Not everything's gonna be that easy. These were previously granted. No, you said it. At another meeting. But we will do our best.
Volunteer, so we're
Yeah.
fine.
ZBA, next up is ZBA 02-2026. This is for 21 Everett Avenue. Applicant is seeking area variances for maximum impervious surface coverage and driveway setback for installation of a driveway parking area. And I think to help the board, when the applicant speaks, if we could pull up the zoning board worksheet. Great.
Hey, my name is John Power, the architect, 24 Van Wyck Street, Croton on Hudson, New York.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler.
This variant, well, there's two variants here regarding a bit of paving that has existed on this property for, as far as I can tell from aerial photographs, 20 years. The owner, client, felt it needed a restoration and a repair. So he had a contractor put another layer down over. And I guess you need a contractor to not tell him he needed a permit to do that. So that's where we are now. So it's basically an existing situation that has existed for a while, and this really was a repair restoration.
So existing non-conforming because it didn't
Yes.
originally have approval. And it came to attention because new work was done and somebody noticed.
Yes. And I don't know if the regulation came into being, I don't know when that regulation.
Oh,
came
that was a
into being.
while ago.
Yeah.
The impervious surface coverage?
So it was a previous owner, or several, or maybe two
Yeah.
or three owners back.
Variances live with the property, not the people.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that property just doesn't have a variance piece.
Right, so we're here to,
Chair, can we take a look at the picture?
Oh, yeah,
Driveway?
absolutely. You can do whatever you want,
Okay.
except leave.
by walking the neighborhood, I've seen, especially the neighboring property to the right, the picture to the right. Is a substantial amount of parking behind that residence that goes even further back, but the property we're talking about here is on the left.
So I take it the driveway wasn't always rectangular like that. There was, you got this.
It meets the other driveway, it actually
Okay.
goes
Meet
right
the-
across the property.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm seeing the actual other app, but okay, gotcha.
We can go street view after this.
Yeah.
Would be
Okay.
helpful.
So from what I'm seeing,
There's an aerial shot. that-
Yeah, the aerial shot's helpful.
Yeah,
yep,
right there.
well, the aerial's hit or miss. In the neighborhood, this is not the norm,
Mm-hmm.
except for that multi-family unit.
Well, there's one there and then there's one across the street that's similar to.
Yeah, but when-
Similar to this.
When we consider the neighborhood, I'll say we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, just on that street that are not the same. So we'll look at that.
So other than the front lawn, let me go back to the picture. The entire property, other than the house is paved. Is that right?
Well, what I saw on the plans was like
Yeah.
75%.
75%.
Okay, so, so that was the other 25%.
Well, 75% is
Yeah.
impervious surface, so that includes the building.
Okay,
Mhm.
gotcha.
And then the other variance is the fact that it's, right to the property line versus a 2-foot.
Is this currently a 1 or 2 family, even if it's prior non-conforming?
It's 2 foot.
2. So 4 cars. So from my perspective, what's tough is, there's like a conflict going on. Part of that conflict is we in a lot of applications in these districts have had issues with so much impervious surface coverage, regardless of whether or not it was pre-existing or not. Because over time, you forcibly change neighborhoods when people keep using the next door neighbor of impervious to justify that it just gets paved over and over. The conflict of that is, this is a very small lot, it's a skinny lot. And so they have to drive up alongside the house to get to the back, so.
Quite undersized.
So you have room for what, 4 cars?
Yes.
4 cars. So I guess there's no way you could have done less paving and accommodated those 4 cars, is that correct?
Well, not without the, the availability to get in and out, that
Mhm.
driveway, once you have one vehicle in there, the other vehicles can't.
Gotcha, because of the.
Looking at just the historical imagery on Google Earth, and it appears that the driveway has been in this configuration since at least 2007.
Okay.
This is a curiosity question. I don't know if it
Mhm.
affects this case or not. The property behind it, and maybe not next door, but the surrounding property, is that the one that used to be the daycare center? It has this area right here, it's like, because you see the wraparound driveway right here.
Oh,
The
the
bus-
children's center.
Yeah, the buses would enter one, come through here and exit here.
I think you're right.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that a different district? Are those properties right there looked at differently?
Well, imagine the ones in Everett. are-
Actually, if that's the entrance into what the old children's center, that's actually in the professional office district.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, now it's multifamily.
Well, it's
now
multifamily, but the district is still the professional office district. It's PO district.
Okay, so we shouldn't compare the driveway next door.
Well, but in
Right.
terms of like character of the neighborhood, you can consider the fact that it's abutting something that could be used for commercial use, not just
Uh-huh.
residential.
But over time, doesn't that also mean that people can just do the same thing? Now that there's a approved paving on 75% of one property,
Well,
the next property can do the same and so forth.
I mean, each case stands on its own merits and precedent can always be distinguished, and I think looking at this application, the fact that this driveway's existed in this existing configuration
Hmm.
for quite some time now is relevant. If you look at the aerial for the rest of the neighborhood, that's not the case.
Yeah.
So if a neighboring property owner who didn't have the same coverage was coming for the same variance, I think that's a very important distinguishing factor.
Because that driveway next door, I'm just trying to figure out, that driveway next door doesn't actually belong to that blue house. It connects to the parking lot
Yeah, it's that
goes
other
to
building.
that used to be the children's center.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's what I mean, like, I don't know if it affects it or not, but that right there, that parking lot in the back of this blue house, that's not part of that property. It's part
Yes,
of-
and to add to that, when this was converted into a multifamily home, they went for site plan approval, and all of that was approved as part of site plan approval. Because they needed to create enough parking for the apartments.
For the property that we're talking about now?
Yeah, the property you're talking about, which was the children's center, now that's a multifamily building, that when that was converted into that, it went to the planning board as part of a site plan approval. So that driveway and entrance coming in and out of there was also part of that site plan approval, because when you're pulling into that parking lot, it's kind of like where you pull in through the front along Highland Avenue and you pull out through there because of the amount of traffic, that a number of vehicles that would be coming in and out of there. So it has 2 entrances, one in, one out.
For me, it was the district question, whether or not we're comparing, oranges and apples.
Yeah, that property is all located in the professional office district.
So the light blue house, does it have parking now or not?
No, they don't have parking there. They don't, that driveway there, that property doesn't belong to them.
So this is like a paper street, basically. This isn't.
It's a driveway entrance into that property at 9092 South Highland Avenue.
Gotcha.
That's all for me.
So for my own knowledge, I guess, if they would have come in for a permit to repave, we would have sent them here to get a variance.
Yes.
So, right, okay. I don't know why that is relevant right now. I'm just trying to think through things.
The reason I think of things like that is because normally, or what we've done in the past, is we've required a percentage of it to be pervious. So gravel, pervious pavers, et cetera, so that it would reduce the impervious surface coverage. But you just repaved it. Problem is, I don't want to set a precedent that as long as you do the work, we'll like
Right.
look over what we would normally do.
Can we say that in the paperwork?
Yeah,
Well-
it's a matter of distinguishing each case on its own merits, you know, this is, again, they repaved what was already there. This wasn't like
Expansion.
it's not, they're not expanding,
Right.
they didn't create new driveway, they had the existing oversized driveway. They re-blacktopped it and then got caught essentially. And then had to come here.
I mean, one concern I can understand is, looking at the slope of this asphalt and everything, it's not affecting other properties with regard to additional water or anything like that. All that water is draining right down the driveway and there's so that's my other.
Well, that actually is an issue because you can't discharge or cause to discharge stormwater into the right of way. So if that's part of the reason why we have the law with the amount of impervious surface coverage, so that you have enough impervious surface coverage on your property to absorb stormwater and not have it running off into the right of way or onto neighbors.
It doesn't show in that picture, but that street's pretty steep hill. So there is a lot of running water in one direction.
Yeah, properties are usually self-managing for water dispersal. But, so when we consider feasibility, unfortunately, for the decision, we're kind of back to the corner because I don't think it would be feasible to rip up the whole driveway
No.
and replace it. But something I do want to consider and ask you all if you think is feasible is to fix runoff into the street drainage at the front of the driveway, like some homes have with what is that grate called? Well, the homes that don't have a driveway going right into the street, all paved, aren't gonna have that.
Some sort of trench drain we're talking.
While you think about that, back to my, can we put it in the paper question? Can we, because it's done, can we put it so that it's only approved for this instance, and then the next time that property needs to repave or whatever, that it has to be revisited?
I believe that would be the case
Okay.
regardless, if they go to make any changes, they'd have to come back.
No,
No,
you're saying
no.
if they went for a
If they-
permit to repave on exactly the same footprint.
Right.
Yeah, I
It would have
understand,
to be reconsidered then in regards to the whole drainage issue.
yes,
That's a good question.
that could be a condition.
I've been informed that this particular company had done the same thing to other properties nearby
Mhm.
without informing them that this, whether this company knew or didn't know.
We see some of that come before us, but
yeah,
it's a
that's what I've
responsibility of the
heard.
homeowner.
Yeah.
And those other properties had received violations as well for not filing for permits.
We've had a few of those cases
Yeah.
before us. But some of them have, like more, they're not using as much of the property, so impervious surface wasn't the issue, it's something else. Side yard setbacks or something. If I feel, that was a great question. I feel it's fair to put a condition on approval that when they are repaving that driveway on the exact same footprint in the future, that will require them to come before us so we can find a feasible alternative to doing the same thing over and over.
I think it would be phrased a little more generally, like if they decide to repave, they have to return to the zoning board for a reexamination of the impervious coverage.
Because to give you something that immediately comes to mind, which we've asked others to do, it's pervious pavers at the
Yeah,
front.
sure.
At least for the
I mean,
drainage.
if I was doing
So
this
you don't have to
from
think-
scratch,
yeah,
I
of
would
course.
be signing things.
But also, we're not monsters, like we get the issue, but at the same time. Yeah, that makes me feel better. Great question. Anybody else got questions? All right, I don't think we have anybody online. Yes, my vision is going. All right, making a motion to open the public hearing.
Let's open the public hearing, Brian.
Seconded, Olga.
If there are no objections to opening the public hearing, yeah, you can just sit for that. We'll bring it back up. Then the public hearing is open. Anybody here? Speak on this application? I see glazed eyes, so could I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing, Brian. Seconded, Mike.
We have Brian and then Mike. If there are no objections, public hearing is closed. All right, final chance to ask questions before we do five factors. All right, will we do the five factors, please?
Whether an undesirable change will be produced to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting the variance.
I would, no, you first.
Personally, I think this is probably the strongest argument for approval because of the fact that the paper street does exist. It goes to the children's or the former children's center. Thus, it looks a lot like the driveway next door. And to me, that's the strongest argument with regard to approval.
Now I would say, what was the last part of it impacting?
Whether a detriment to nearby properties will be created.
So
by
detriment
granting
to nearby
variance.
properties for me would be water runoff directly to the
Okay.
street because, but again, it's balanced and they're both balanced.
It's not a new detriment. I mean, the property has lived with that particular detriment for a while.
Yep. But the variance that we're granting is to approve what it is now, assuming it was never there.
Right.
So that to me,
Mhm.
would be, I think it's 50-50.
Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance.
I don't think it's feasible now, considering the fact that in some ways, it's a moot point, considering the fact that we could put a condition of approval, as we stated before.
Whether the requested area variance is substantial.
It is, and I think it's substantial both numerically and impact wise, considering similar decisions we've made in the past, both on driveways and other impervious surface coverage on properties in that district.
Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse factor impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
We didn't do secret on this because it's not required. The water is the only thing I'm concerned about.
I'm gonna say no.
And finally, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which again is relevant to the board's decision, but not necessarily dispositive.
I do think it was self-created, but I don't think it's determinative in this case because somebody not knowing that they've done something against the law or against code is not an excuse for getting a free pass, but at the same time, it didn't seem to me like there was no ill intent here. We've seen that actually in some other cases. So based on what I heard, it's like just over on the voting to approve. So that's the motion I'll make, or ask for.
Can
Yes,
I ask a question before we get that far? I'm sorry.
no, please.
I just like having a thought about drainage and everything and how we keep talking about this and like what else can we do, if anything? So I'm just gonna throw something random out there before we move on. Can I ask you, where do the gutters drain to on the property currently? Do you know? Do they just kind of like let off up by the house? Because I guess what I'm thinking of is like, would a rain barrel or something along those lines help with
There's a
water?
discharge pipe next to the stairs right there. It looks like it goes right into the front yard.
Where
It looks like it goes to that dip that goes down the driveway.
And then goes out into the street. or
Mhm.
something. I don't know, so I'm just wondering if there's something, well, I don't know if it's necessary, if it would help. I would maybe ask the building inspector.
You could see in that picture, there's a gutter in the back that dumps water right onto the driveway.
Yeah,
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Goes out onto the street.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Would a rain barrel help with runoff in that regard, like?
Probably not, because it's only gonna carry probably 50 gallons worth of water. So, I mean, yeah, it would help, but you get a heavy rainstorm, you fill that barrel pretty quickly, but.
plus it's probably mostly the water that's hitting the asphalt and running down.
Yeah.
based on.
Flood surface area.
Yeah, not the house, okay, yeah, okay.
I think the condition we discussed, that if they decide to
Yeah.
do the same exact thing or excavate in the future, they have to come back for a robust discussion.
Okay.
I think would help.
That is the only reason for me personally that it passes muster.
Okay.
How does everybody else? Well, we're gonna vote
Well,
anyway.
we may see some action on this in the future though, because isn't that children's center for sale now? Now it's no longer being used.
Well, it's now, it was formerly the Children's Center, and now I think it's like 5 units in each building of apartments.
Apartments?
Also, to let you know about that property, when they developed this, when they got the approval on site plan, they installed a bunch of stormwater catch basins on their property. And they paid to have all that stormwater tied into the village's storm system in the street on Everett. So the fact that they have a full parking area in the back, they installed a full stormwater system to control the water. That was part of their approval.
Right.
So in the backyard there, they have a bunch of catch basins and piping that goes from those catch basins down that driveway on Everett out into the street and connects into the village's stormwater, not to create a stormwater problem for any neighboring properties there.
That's more a commercial parking lot because of the number of spaces versus what we're talking about here.
Yeah, but based on the coverage on the property, it's probably a little bit more
Yeah.
than what the current property is, because the footprint of this property is much smaller.
Mhm.
Any more?
Nope, that was it, thank you.
I'm good.
All right, cool. And you guys are free to ask questions to just. Oh. Great, so I will make a motion or ask for a motion to approve. If you disagree, you would vote nay. It should be pretty self-explanatory
With the condition.
with the condition. The condition is bundled with this decision. So just to repeat, the condition would be if and when they change, which would naturally require them to come back before us anyway,
Right.
or they redo the paving exactly on the same footprint, whatever the proper language is for that, that would require a discussion so we could go over stormwater mitigation. All right, but I guess get a motion to approve ZBA 03/2026.
Motion to approve, Brian.
Oh, I'm sorry, 02/2026.
Motion to approve, Brian.
Seconded and another.
We have Brian and the mic. We get our roll call vote, please.
Brian Granoff,
Aye.
Michael Stoll, Olga Montes,
Aye.
Corey Block,
Aye.
Chair Aberza.
Aye. All right, Mr. Mora, congratulations. I don't really like, we don't put many conditions on things unless it's important, but this is something we've been working on and you may have been denied in the past, and so we're trying to balance what the future looks like for this project. All right, thank you, guys.
I just want to add something, Mr. Mora, in the future, if best practice is to ask just in case. Don't trust any contractor to know because the town holds the owner responsible.
Yes, because, yeah. I was one day in the house and this guy, the contractor, they came to my driveway.
Mhm.
And they said, I have a little bit blocked up, but I want to put it all in the back. But he said, I don't have another place to dumping. I said, I can put it here. I can charge less. Yeah, I had a bit driveway and because I was coming in parts, I had my kids and they were fell down and that. I said, okay, I can put him there.
Okay.
But when they came, the guys, they come in the big truck. They have a lot and I said, you said a little bit, not so much because
Gotcha.
they said, oh, don't worry, you don't need to permits. I said, sure.
Don't trust any of them.
Yeah.
Yes, and then they said, I hope I don't have trouble for my house. No, don't worry, no problem. Next year you can making a good barbecue in the bar, you have now. Blah, 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 blah.
You are not
And
the
that was-
first person to deal with that.
Yeah.
They put in the blacktop Tuesday, and they said, I will come to putting a finish, because I said, no more, I said, stop, no more, I don't want to have problems. I said, but finish, you have a little bit, it's not a big deal. I said,
No.
I hope, but one day there was surprise the guys came for another neighbor. And village came there because they do something crazy. They put a blacktop on the street. And some neighbors called the police and the village. And the village came and they saw, but in my property, they put only 10 feet a day, 1 week after. And they said they checked the notes and they said, okay, they have that problem. I said, oh.
And now you know for the future.
Yeah, now I know for the future, I don't want to know if I do need to do something in my house, I know now the village because I believe, because when I come here, they always, they give me details, you can do this, and when I ask them, okay, no, now, thank you and sorry for.
No worries. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Yeah, this is, you got it. You're good.
You're okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So next up is ZBA 03-2026. This is for 34 State Street. This application has been before us previously, and I'm under the impression that we cannot vote on this application tonight.
So this is currently, the planning board is doing secret on this application. They have not considered, they have not completed the review yet. So tonight's really an introduction and any questions and whatnot the applicants.
I do have one question to start off with, if I may, after you introduce yourself.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Janet Harris. I'm a partner with Del Bello, Denali, Weingart, Wise, and Whitaker. And I'm here this evening on behalf of WP Development in connection with their application.
Great. When we were looking at the application, something came up in a meeting with the building inspector concerning height, because I think there was some confusion. We have both in paperwork 59.5 feet and 70 feet for building height. And I assume the 70 feet is for the rear of the property where the slope is. And this came up specifically regarding fire emergency access to the property. And I know that some accommodations were made. So we just wanted to get, and Joe, feel free to ask specific questions here if you want, because you'll probably know better than me.
Well, what occurred is when we were discussing about fire department access in a meeting about a month ago, the discussion was because there's not full access on all four sides of the buildings, that New York State's building codes has regulations on how large the size of a building can be when you only have access to say one or two sides of the building, even if you're going to sprinkler the building. So I'd asked them to do calculations to determine based on the calculations of the state to make sure that what they were presenting on the size of the building is going to work before we go through the entire site plan approval and then find out when we get to the code review that the fire safety and the access wouldn't work and then have to make modifications. So the engineering team for the developer did an entire analysis, which I gave to the consultants to review to make sure it was not going to be an issue based on the code. But on those documents, they wrote that the overall height of the building, at least at the highest point, was 70 feet. So I'm not sure if that was a mistake, but that was what was used as the analysis as part of the fire access. But here on these documents, it's saying a little under 60 feet. So it makes a difference on what the total amount of variance is needed. If it's actually going to be 60 feet, then the variance request for the height in the number of feet would be more than what's being proposed on the sheets that we have here for the zoning board.
Patty, can you go to sheet G005? I think I can. Yeah, oh, sorry. Michael Bevivino, the architect on the project. Practice name is architecture. I live at 6 Americo Circle in Ossining, New York. Would you mind going up to the building section? It's like at the top of that sheet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And just kind of zoom in enough so you can see like the whole section.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Or more?
And this is really at like the heart of our height variance ask. As you guys are probably familiar, the site starts at State Street, has a pretty significant slope up to where the Smith Robinson house is flat for a bit, and then there's a dramatic grade drop down towards Hunter Street. So the way the village calculates building height, it's from an average grade plane, which I'm sure you guys are aware.
That's the dash line.
That's the dash line that doesn't really correspond. Oh, the dash line that's cutting through the site, that's the existing topography.
It would be the one above number one, right?
Yeah,
Level
it's the one.
Maddie, on the left-hand side, floor number one, it's, I think that dash line right above.
This
Yeah,
one
that
here.
one. So that's our average grade plane. So our numbers in the zoning worksheet and the height variance are based on the height from average grade plane, which is how you measure the height of the building.
So if I was to walk the property towards the river, that dotted line would be what I'd be walking on?
You'd be walking on the dashed line
The
that's
dash-
cutting through, yeah.
Yes, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
exactly.
Okay.
So the 70-foot number is like really not it's not a number you ever experience. That 70 feet is from the lowest point of the development all the way to the highest point of the development. So if you go all the way to the right-hand side, you can see that 70-foot number, and that's basically just, you know, that low point on the downside of the hill to the high point facing State Street. So it's not a real number, it's just the overall height of the development.
So the numbers I see in the tan colored blocks are the floors of the building? Or they, but how come on the front of the building, it's only, goes from floor 4 to 7 versus?
That's probably for uniformity across the development.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're thinking of this as one building,
Okay.
so we've been calling that lowest story
Mhm.
on the west side, floor 1. And then on the two rental buildings that face State Street, their
Yeah.
first floor is 4th floor, you know, like the 4th level. So we're compliant with, you know, the 4-story requirement on the
Right.
State Street side.
Mhm.
And the height requirement and the maximum above sea level height restriction that the village has.
Mhm.
As we follow grade down the site, that's where we need, you know, the additional height and the additional stories. But the taller building is shorter in space than the building that's on State Street.
And is the number 7 there, is that so that the folks in the front of the building can see the river versus, that's the reason why it's taller?
Yeah, ideally, it's just the
Yeah.
way the number of units worked out and,
Yeah.
you know, trying to provide the most number of views to the most number of residents.
I think it also aligns with the Smith Robinson house in terms of the plane.
Yeah, we're trying to work off of those datums and not be taller than the Smith Robinson house to really let that building have some amount of prominence, you know. That's why the new building step back from it as well.
And so I think that the correct number is actually 59.5, which is what is on the drawings.
So let me ask a question, and it's really towards to Taryn. These are separate buildings. So wouldn't they need to apply for the variance on the height for each individual building instead of the overall average grade of all 3 buildings on a site?
We're considering it as one building. We
Well,
refer
but they're
to-
not attached to each other, right?
They're connected by the parking levels.
Oh, I see, so that white space in between the 2 tan spaces is parking?
Yeah, exactly. So those two
Yes.
levels are under, you know, below grade parking levels. The big one serves the 100 AHOP units, and the smaller one below that serves the 50 market rate rentals.
Okay. Those 4 rectangular white blocks there, are that also parking or what?
That's the elevation in the background of
Okay,
the other, like the other leg of the AHOP building.
gotcha.
Might be
So
helpful.
then, okay, I can understand. So your proposal is
Right.
basically this is one building because of the parking connection.
Correct.
That's a very smart move.
Was there a different angle that
I thought maybe the overall aerial that's like almost at the end of this set
Yeah,
would be helpful just to kind of better understand the project.
after what we experienced on, Main Street, they'll be taking a look at that building on the left-hand side, the one closest to Hunter, see whether or not there's any slope issues there.
Yeah, that's, I'm a Ossining resident, I'm very aware of that project and the challenge that it's caused the
Yeah.
community.
A big challenge, yeah.
The idea here was to work with the
Mhm.
existing grade instead of building big giant retaining walls that we would have to fight against it. So that's, part of the reason why the building kind of, one additional reason why the building sort of steps down as we head like downgrade and towards the river.
Gotcha.
I think that question has come up at any major project on this float since the past 6 years. Now, I know that you're still going through secret at the planning board, so we can't vote, but is there anything you want us to know in advance prior to the next, whenever we can vote, when we get to that meeting? Because I know you've already presented to us and we've already kind of discussed a lot.
I don't think we have presented
No?
to you yet.
I think I've just seen these, I've seen that too.
Board presentation? It might have been the building.
Might have been the
presentation. That you and Seth were there.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It all blends together.
And we are happy to, we are happy to go through it. We're very excited about the project, as you know, and I can go into more detail. If you would like, and we certainly have the drawings, which were submitted as part of our application. Essentially, this is a 150 unit redevelopment of this property. 100 of those units will be condominiums. They will be for sale, affordable under the state's AHOP program. And then the remaining 50 units will be market rate rentals.
You guys are contributing to something I think Ossining is or was awarded for in affordable housing development in New York State.
Oh, we were prominently placed on Westchester County's affordable housing report card.
Yes,
I think.
that's,
Yes.
so I have a personal bias in favor of your property, but I gotta throw that off to the side.
So I was prepared to start off with, hi, my name is, and, I represent these guys. And so you tell me if you would like me to go through that. I'm happy to do that. I don't need to take up more of your time. If you are familiar with the project, what I can tell you is that we are seeking 2 area variances from you in connection with that. As your building inspector just indicated, one is from the maximum height requirement. So we are asking to go from 48 feet to 59.5 feet. Or from 4 stories to 6. And again, that increase in height is at the rear of the building, and that building has been designed to work into the topography of the property, which is actually beneficial because it results in less overall disturbance of the property. So that's the first. And then the second we are looking for is a reduction in the minimum unit size for the property. Which is 750 feet. We are seeking a reduction, I think it's 652 feet. And that is in connection with the 1-bedroom units that are being proposed on the property. This is something that WVP has gone through very carefully, and the numbers, and to be able to provide the most marketable and the maximum number of affordable units to make the project work financially, we're seeking that additional variance.
Was the rental units or
Those are the
overall,
condos.
all of your
All-
one bedroom?
all of the-
It affects all of the 1-bedroom units. No, that's quite all right. And as part of our application, we did submit a statement of principal points, which actually goes through the 5 factors. I'm happy to go through them with you. It might be premature if you're not ready to vote on this, and we're happy to come back to you next month to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Understood.
my
No,
feeling would be today would be a little premature. Unless somebody had a major issue that was a red flag for them, we would want to give them maybe heads up.
Does the board have any questions about the variances? Again, it's variances for height and feet and stories, and it's also a variance for the livable.
Is there any precedence with regard to the 1-bedroom units being that much smaller?
Yes, there is actually, as a matter of fact. So the project that's being developed by a related entity of this developer is currently developing a project at 30 Water Street. I think that's the correct address, and the variance was very similar.
Okay. The one I went to groundbreaking for, yeah.
Isn't it correct that the variance is driven in part by HCR's requirements as well?
Yes, I mean, they do have sizes of units that they vary between, I think it's 6 to 800 units.
Right.
But it's about making the numbers work and
Right.
and
And their term she's 100 units, and I think.
Right.
I thought construction got cheaper the past 5 years though.
The village's livable floor area
Right.
and HCR's
Don't,
minimum, they work, I know you guys adjusted that, the village adjusted their code recently. And it works out well for the 2 and 3 bedroom units. It's just still a little high, in my opinion, on the 1 bedroom units.
because this is for livable.
It's livable, and HCR and the village measures this differently, but just for context, HCR's like minimum 2 bedroom size is 750. And so like by making the 1 bedroom unit minimum size 750, you're pushing it into like the 2 bedroom size unit
For HCR.
for HCR. So
I'm gonna refer to you though, because you know this stuff better than I do, but, is there also requirements with regard to 1 bedrooms, with regard to numbers of closets, numbers of bathrooms?
There's not a requirement for bathrooms and closets. I think what you might be referring to is there's livable, habitable.
Right.
And habitable includes the closets.
Right,
No, the habitable space does not include closets and bathrooms and hallways.
Oh, got it, it's flipped.
okay.
I guess the only thing I would like to see is an actual, I'm sure we have an application. Do we have a floor plan for those 1 bedrooms?
yeah,
Yes, I like to do that.
Because to Mike's point, I've been here for all of the major
I
developments
go
that
up 2
happened
more
in the
sheets.
past.
Right.
And we've
There you
looked at
go.
floor plans specifically because that did influence, what's the 55 and over, the 50 and older home? Yeah.
If you scroll over to the unit on the right, that's the smallest
How
1
can you
bedroom.
see?
You got that memorized.
These
Plans,
Yeah, it is memorized.
Oh my
So
God.
the hatched gray area is the village's livable floor area. And this is like a recent change in the code and how it's measured, but you know, essentially it's to the interior face of the unit walls. So interior of the exterior wall and interior of the demising walls. HCR, the Homes and Community Renewal Guidelines, which dictates the affordable projects, they measure their units, that red dashed line, so to the center line of the partitions and to the center line of the corridor wall. So you pick up, it doesn't look like much, but you do pick up quite a bit of area when you measure, you know, that half of the partition. So we're kind of balancing trying to stay within HCR's min and maxes and meet the village's minimum requirements, and then also provide great enough differentiation between the unit types. So that's kind of how we ended up where we are.
And this applies to the, market rate condos too?
Yeah, so the market rate condos are a little larger, but they're still under the requirement. Those are on the next sheet. Those are 707 feet. Yeah, I think a little further down on that sheet, those are the duplexes.
Why would
And then
that-
over to the right.
Just that's from a point of view of expense, why would you do that?
It had to do a little bit with just the way the floor plates laid out and the overall design of the complex. You know, there's a lot of pushing and pulling in order to be structurally efficient with these buildings. Like it's wood framed construction above the podium, so you know, the demising walls and partitions all need to stack. So when you start laying these things out, it becomes this big giant puzzle where you're pushing and pulling things to get, you know, to comply with a whole bunch of different competing priorities sometimes.
And I see a pretty sizable walk-in closet. Obviously, there's the bathroom. It looks like a shower tub, the normal. Washer and dryer. Does this one have one?
This particular unit doesn't have a washer and dryer. But then some of them do.
I saw it in the last one.
Yeah, in the AHOP building, they have washers and dryers, I think.
Anybody else questions while they're here today?
And again, I also just want to make sure if there was any questions about height, they are going back to the planning board and BAR, which is also a joint HPC meeting to talk about architectural review. So if you have any comments as it relates to the height, so I can relay them back in a couple weeks.
I've seen the back of that hill for the past 8 years. And I don't think it's gonna be, my personal opinion, it's just not gonna be a detriment because some of the other buildings that are closer to the road are higher up, so it'll almost look like it belongs there.
Right.
Plus, the retaining wall thing is a big issue for me because there's been so many issues with that. I really appreciate the effort to build. on it.
So this will be posted so that the residents of Hunter or any other street can have an opportunity to comment on it, right?
They've been.
Tonight.
They've been, yeah, they're
Yeah.
noticed, so we have to
Oh,
open, we have to open the public hearing tonight. We'll
Yeah.
then probably adjourn it.
Right, but then we would reopen it when they came back?
Yep.
Gotcha, okay,
And their seeker, they're hearing public
Okay.
comment as well.
gotcha.
So, the planning board.
Okay.
Yeah,
The reason why I asked the question about, and you're correct about having the garage connecting the buildings. The reason why I asked if there were two individual buildings is because when you look at the height of each building, it's actually, I don't think it exceeds the maximum 48 feet from grade level on each one. In other words, when you're looking at it and you're standing on grade level, they're probably less than actually 60 feet. It's just that you're taking the overall grade. I mean, if you put back the elevation, I think you'll see that when you're really looking at each building from grade individually, from grade level up, it's probably not even at 60 feet. You're doing an average across, which makes the variance actually appear to be more than it really is.
That's a good point. I guess the only recommendation I would make from that, just to help your final meeting here, would be to just physically show on that elevation perspective or profile, to show the greatest height for each of the,
For each building.
well, as the grade goes up. Instead of taking the average for all of them, you can physically show, well, this part of the building actually is over 50, this part of the building is actually over 50.
Okay.
Because that, in terms of scope, instead of considering the whole thing being over, we would only consider, it would make sense to look at just that one part.
Right, and when you're looking at that building and when you see it from State Street, it only appears to be, 3 stories
Yeah, the four,
from.
from
you know,
State
from
Street and
State.
what you'll see is just a 4-story building
Right.
that complies with the height.
I mean, it would be prominent on the back from the train station and Water Street area and all of that, but I think that would just be a detail that would help. He kind of gave you a freebie.
Yeah, there are some like mocked up views from the river.
Yeah, they were scrolling, that was beautiful. I think you guys did a good job of taking everything into context. I like that, while you're going for the variance for this second building, that it's technically taller, it's not, it doesn't appear that way to the normal person on the ground, and you're kind of keeping that more historic building up front
Yeah,
and
so
center.
it's tricky to work with this kind of topography and,
Yeah.
Be able to achieve that, so.
And to get the parking underground is fantastic.
Yeah, that's
too.
amazing. The fact that you don't need parking variances is.
Yeah,
rare.
we're actually providing more parking than is required.
Super rare.
Substantially more.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I don't think we've had any applications for these larger buildings that have not needed parking variances and accommodations. All right, I have no more questions today.
Yeah, I don't.
My only comment is other comment is architecturally, it would be nice to see something different vertically.
Yeah, we have a revised submission into the planning board and HPC that looks a lot, at least material wise, and facade articulation that is a lot different than this. So,
Some different colors and trying
The
to.
backside looks, it's a little bit more like variation,
Yes.
there's some different colors, and I get, you kind of have to work with the historic building too, so it's a balance, but.
yeah, and Chairman Roy and Chairman Garowitz at HPC have both given us a lot of feedback, and we've been kind of working closely with both boards just to, check all the boxes from aesthetics to zoning compliance.
There used to be more disconnect between the planning board and us because we're more on the judicial side, they're not. But we've started meeting quarterly, all the land use board chairs to kind of iron some of that out. So far, so good. I have no more questions. I think we could get a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open.
Seconded, Brian.
We have Olga, then Brian. If there are no objections to opening the public hearing is open. because members of the public were invited today, if you have, yep, please come forward.
I'm gonna be represented.
Question, have you signed in yet?
I haven't.
All right, so just sign in really quick, and then you can introduce yourself. You're welcome.
I don't know.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so, my name's Natalie Borland. I'm the board president of the Ossining Children's Center. With Milbert, who ran out and had to take some kind of an emergency call about the Children's Center. We just want to say we're very excited about this project. We're looking forward to, hopefully being a part of it and seeing what goes on. Just really need to keep in mind with some of the things. We've got over 170 children in our building. And so we just are really, concerned about safety and, air quality and things like that. So, we're looking forward to working with everybody and, being good neighbors, but it is just a concern that we do have for just right now.
Okay.
So,
And just to give you some good information and where your comments are gonna make the biggest impact, those type of things will actually, I think, make the biggest impact at the planning board. Because for us, the only things we're legally allowed to consider as the zoning board of appeals is just the height of the building
Mhm.
and that one part and the size of the units inside differs a little bit. But the planning board would be able to consider things like that.
Okay. Because the only other thing that we're also.
That doesn't mean your time is
Right.
wasted today.
Yeah, well, no, okay, that's more cool.
Yeah.
Is, the only concern that we have in terms of the height of the building is how much is it gonna affect our sunlight?
Mhm.
Like we've got a garden and it's might wipe out our garden, just things like that. So those are just some of our concerns.
I don't know if they've done this. I know some others have done it. And I forgive me for not knowing the actual terminology, but the studies. Shadow study. Have you guys done a shadow study?
Yeah, we're looking at the shadows cast on the pool from the building, so I have the whole neighborhood mapped and we have animations where we could.
Oh, that would be great.
show that, yeah.
Oh, that would be great.
That
Yeah,
is amazing.
That's,
Because I think-
thank you.
I know.
I did not waste my time here.
No, that's definitely not. Are those publicly available? No. Would you be willing to submit those in the next?
Yeah.
It's, for us, it's pro forma, but for others, it would help us talk to them.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that would be great.
The only other thing, now that you're here, that comes to my mind is, drop off and pickup. Do you think that that's gonna be an issue with regard to this big structure next door to you?
Probably, I mean, I know that they've done traffic studies, but, we definitely have strong hours of drop off and pick up, between like 7 and 9,
Right.
and again, between like 4 and 6. So that's a big time for us.
And the cars queue on the street?
No, not really. They pull into our parking lot. I mean, if they need to queue, they do, but they pull into our parking lot and then they walk the children into the building and come out. And then the buses come into our curved driveway.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we can't really consider that as part of anything.
Well, except that, one of our criteria is obviously the impact to the neighborhood. And
But
the
the
area.
impact
Variance,
by the
though.
height, because of the height or the impact because of the size of the units.
Yeah, okay, we're
Like that we
limited,
planned.
limited with.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
again,
So that's why I
planning
was
board-
giving that advice, like,
Because the planning board will do a traffic, they'll look at the traffic study.
They've already submitted a
Okay.
traffic study and the
Yeah.
village
Good point.
consultant
Right.
is.
I think not doing extra work but just
Mhm.
submitting something you've already done.
Yeah.
Will help us answer those questions that they come up in the final meeting.
The planning
Yeah.
board meets, I believe, January 27th of this month,
Okay.
so you're more than welcome
Okay.
to.
And
go
those
down.
materials are posted on the website,
Mhm.
and so, just, to mention to the board, as part of their environmental review, we submitted an extensive traffic study. And, all of the things will be coordinated, for example, construction management and all of that. But the project is not anticipated to have, any sort of significant traffic impact, on the neighborhood, and particularly, with regard to.
And that road's considered local, not New York State, right?
Yes, that is definitely a local road.
Local. road.
Yeah.
All right, I have no more questions today. Public hearing's open. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Always,
Thank you.
always feel
Well,
free to
your
come and
neighborhood.
participate. That's how things work.
Okay, great, thank
Um,
you.
Anybody else? Come on down. And you have to just make sure you sign in. You got a pen, great.
My name is Mike Bull. I am I own property adjoining where this is all going on,
What's the address there?
5 Broad Avenue.
I've got-
And it's a company called Broad Holding that actually owns the building and parking area. So this is not really the right forum. You've explained that already, but I'm just curious whether they have sufficient parking for the apartments and whatnot that they have there. Have they considered anything about visiting parking? Because these people who live there are gonna have visitors. And then those people, if there's no parking for them, that becomes an issue. There is a parking issue on State Street there where there's not really sufficient parking for everybody, the children's center and whatnot, it goes overflow. Over the years, we've experienced people parking on our lot because they can't find sufficient parking on the street. So sometimes it's for an event at the children's center, sometimes it's because of construction going on and they have more vehicles so they can accommodate. So I'm just trying to make sure that that's brought into the figuring
There's a
of
corner lot undeveloped right there.
parking lot, yes,
Yeah.
there's a large park.
Yeah, I drive by there all the time. And before you even have to say anything, I'm pretty confident, and because we're gonna have another meeting for this, where you'll get to hear more in detail. This, well, based on something she's already shared, this is the first development I've seen of anywhere near the scale that actually has no parking issues. They're providing more than's required, and that's usually not the case. So I think that plus all the above ground driveway, if you were to do events that would be private property that have people parking.
So just to recap, 150 units are proposed. There are 264 parking spaces that are required under the zoning ordinance. We are providing 300. So it's, it's far in excess of what's required.
And I'm hoping 30 Water Street, part of our negotiation with them is they're including an entire level of their parking drives. That's all for public use.
Okay.
And also, oh, yeah. We also have the Main Street project. That's gonna include is it underground parking for that?
No.
I don't believe so.
And the transportation center,
The
which is being built.
transportation
right now.
hub.
Is that by the post office? Is this the post office?
That is
Discussing it?
behind,
Behind
the-
what,
going-
optioning open doors.
going towards the rec center.
Oh, behind, okay, I've seen it, that they're developing there.
Yeah, trust me, we've heard parking for years loud and clear. There's a lot of parking coming, so I appreciate it.
Okay.
But you can go to the planning board meeting on
The 27th?
27th,
And
and then we'll have a final meeting.
I'll
here
get a
with
mailer
notice.
for that also. Is that the 22nd of this month?
27th
27th,
of this
okay.
month.
Okay, no, I don't think I.
Where's that meeting held?
That meeting will be held here.
Okay.
Did you not get a notice last time?
I didn't get it, I got the notice for this meeting. I don't
Okay.
think I got to know this.
So I think those originally went out probably in,
Yeah, I was
They
gonna
don't
say, it
mail
would
it
have been
to
quite some
everybody.
time ago.
yeah.
And you don't have to.
And then it's
re-notice.
adjourned from.
Yeah, you don't have to
But
re-notice.
only if it's adjourned, but then, yeah.
Oh, maybe that's.
So it is Tuesday, the 27th,
Mhm.
same time, same place, 7 o'clock
Okay,
right here.
all right,
Yep.
All right, cool.
thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, hearing none, can I get a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Motion to adjourn, Brian.
Seconded, Corey.
We have Brian and then Corey. If there's no objections to adjourning the public hearing is adjourned. That is it for new business, no old business.
Hold on, Peter.
What'd you say?
Peter?
What'd you say?
Peter's public hearing, we should adjourn
Oh my
the
God.
meeting.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for the reminder. Can I get a
Any more
motion to,
questions or anything before, I'm sorry, before?
No, thank you. We just appreciate your time and we're.
I think the shadow study and that little, just a little height indicator to help people see on the back for each of those sections.
Happy to provide them.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Could I give a motion to adjourn the, this application till the next meeting?
Motion to adjourn, Brian.
Second,
Brian, then Mike. And can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Seconded, Corey.
Olga, then Corey, if there are no objections. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, guys.
Yes.